with Dane Ishihara from the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. Thanks for being here, Dane.
Thank you.
I know this is kind of a dumb question, but what is Fintech?
Oh. That's an interesting question. It's kind of a hybrid of technology and banking, where technology is used to help facilitate transactions within the banking system.
I know we had talked about this a little bit before, and we had spoken with Governor Herbert about his regulatory sandbox, and I know you've kind of continued on that work. What can you tell us about that?
So Utah was the first state to pass an industry-agnostic sandbox in 2021. There was an insurance sandbox and a fintech sandbox, and with that feedback we received, some of the businesses didn't want to go to those regulatory agencies directly, so we housed our industry-agnostic sandbox in the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, continuing that work. Utah was already business-friendly in the fintech space. We've had a lot of communication and contact with the various companies, but we help facilitate any of the discussions they have with the regulatory agencies within Utah.
Well, so what are some challenges that you still have to deal with in bringing these about?
Within the Office of Regulatory Relief, we're also required to deep dive industries each year. This year, one of the industries we did take a deep dive was fintech. And one of the things we're finding out with emerging technologies is the regulation is just unclear. So one of the things we'll try to put together in Utah is kind of a one-page or a white paper that will outline what the regulations are currently and what businesses need to do to kind of facilitate that framework. And that's part of the feedback we received. And then also with federal regulations, we'll help communicate that to the federal delegation on things to potentially look out for and make sure that there's not unintended consequences with some of the regulation. But the uncertainty is one of the main things that we're finding with fintech.
Okay. And from what I've heard from others, I mean, Utah is the state to move to if you want government to get out the way while still keeping consumers safe, right?
And that's one of the things we found as we're digging into the research is Utah is business friendly, and we want to stay that way, and we want to stay ahead and current with the industry.
Right. What do you see contributing most to fintech in Utah in the coming years?
I think one of the things that was mentioned also was like the Stena Center and workforce development. Also part of the feedback we received is there's not a lot of entry-level jobs in fintech, so to speak. So it's like upscaling and making sure people are prepared to really enter into that space and workforce in fintech. And we rely on an advisory committee within the Office of Regulatory Relief that has expertise kind of across the board. And then we also work with regulatory agencies, and we reach out to professionals in specific areas and collaborate.
What does the regulatory landscape look like in Utah for the next few years? I mean, if you kind of covered that.
One of the things that Utah does a really good job at is we collaborate between the legislature and the executive branch, where we're collaborating and building out the regulation and not kind of a top-down approach, or it really is industry-driven on how the regulation is created. And that's kind of the purpose of the sandbox as well. If something doesn't fit tightly into the current framework or regulation, it's like, what should it look like? As we're digging into the research, as Utah is business-friendly, and we want to stay that way, and we want to stay ahead and current with the industry. And the businesses understand they should be regulated in a sense, or like they may not fit perfectly, but they're not anti-regulation. It's like they want to protect the consumer and the public as well. And so allowing them an opportunity to, work on their business model and protect the community as well.
So, I mean, according to you and everyone I've talked to, Utah is sufficiently prepared for the future, especially with fintech development and new business coming in. What makes Utah enticing for fintech startups or for big business from out of state to move here?
I think it's the business-friendly environment that's created in Utah, and then also, you've probably heard multiple times this Utah secret sauce, where everybody's collaborative and works together, and it's very, very true. And especially with industry, it's not partisan. It's what is the industry looking to do? How can we support the development of the industry? Because it helps everybody with their quality of life if the economy is doing well.
Is there anything else that Lance hadn't talked about that I'm missing, or something I might not even think to ask?
I think one of the things is within the fintech industry itself, the high wages, because that's something the governor's office also focuses on when we're incentivizing companies. It's bringing higher wages within the industries as well. So we have various incentives that are to incentivize the companies, but it's elevating kind of the wages for everybody within those industries, and fintech is a high-paying industry.
What are some behavioral or soft skills that people in fintech would look to cultivate if they're looking for a job in fintech?
I think bridging the gap between technical expertise and then also the people skills, because fintech is a unique carve out of banking industry and then the technology and those soft skills in between. I think is something that can be focused on as people are developing their career.
Right. And those are two very opposite skills to have, so it's good to work on both.
Yeah, it's like you're down with your head down grinding code, and then you have to go give a presentation to a group of people on your product.
Yeah. Governor Herbert had talked to us about how closely the state works with the universities here in Utah, specifically for developing that talent that we need for these highly skilled jobs. Do you know much about that, or how's that been going about lately?
So within Utah, we have the Talent Ready office that's now at the Utah System of Higher Education. It used to be housed at the Governor's Office of Economic Development when Governor Herbert was the governor. And it really is bridging that gap between workforce development and higher education opportunities, which is amazing for those industries, really creating a workforce that's trained for the current environment and employment.
Right.
And so it's...
Especially with how fast things change.
And how fast... And Talent Ready Utah is adapting each year, almost monthly on what's upcoming. So it's very exciting.
You just keep up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're kind of just continuing on what we had talked about with Herbert yesterday. We just interviewed him yesterday. So you kind of taking on his sandbox and the Talent Ready. Are you the one in charge of that?
Not Talent Ready moved to the Utah System
it
of
did?
Higher
Okay.
Education. I don't know if he's around, but it's not probably for this interview, but it's really exciting for the office. Our new executive director, Jefferson Moss, was appointed earlier this month, and his background is with the Utah System of Higher Education as an associate commissioner. Worked closely with Talent Ready Utah, and it's a very exciting opportunity to kind of work with higher education, economic development. They started the Nucleus Institute this last legislative session to really lead out on policy initiatives, innovation fund. Just Utah's always kind of, like Lance mentioned, we're number one year after year in all of these different metrics, but we don't stay static. It's what can we do next? How do we improve? How do we make things better? And continually looking at our programs and helping out the citizens of Utah.
Yeah. Utah's got a strong culture of that, just all around, don't we?
Yeah.
Nonstop hard work and innovation.
It's kind of built into
Yeah.
the culture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.